This is Honor's new GT. I like the big bold logo up top, looks pretty cool. Barring that, it's your standard white box. Once again, I find myself unboxing another 12256 base variant. Let me go ahead, cut through that plastic and peel it off. Once we open up the box, the first thing we see is the Honor GT itself. So Honor is also spinning off the GT as its own separate line this year, and I've gotten my hands on the green SKU. I actually think it looks quite nice. Now, don't get me wrong, 99 out of 100 times, I definitely have a problem with logos like this. Remember when Realme did something similar? But here I'm gonna be a little softer, a little less critical of Honor, just because we get a choice. If you like this big bold logo, the one that reflects light a little differently than the rest of the back and just pops, then you should get the green. But if you don't, the black and white that Honor offers, they aren't so in your face and come with smaller and stealthier logos. Seriously though, how does this look to you? On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate this design? I'm curious to know what you say in the comments. Okay, moving on. Next we have a SIM tool, an informational leaflet, and a transparent soft case. Now this is followed by a USB Type A to Type C cable with orange accents and a 100-watt supercharger. Just like the Honor 300 Pro, the Honor GT also sports a 5300 mAh battery. Silicon carbon confirmed this time, and using that 100-watt supercharger, you can get to 60% in 15 minutes and a full charge in about 35. Unlike the 300 Pro though, there is no wireless charging support here. Guys, I've mentioned the Honor 300 Pro quite a few times in this video already, and there is a reason for that. Now the GT, it shares a lot in common with the 300 Pro. In fact, the easiest way to think of it would be like this. If the Honor 300 Pro were an A-series Samsung, this would be the equivalent of the M-series. Basically, it's a more competitively priced offering that's aimed at online and not offline while losing a few bells and whistles like wireless charging. Anyways, before we dig deeper, if this is your first time here or in case you just can't remember, my name's Ash, you're watching C4eTech, and hey, if you find this video interesting, well shot, useful, any of the above, tap that like button, and if you want to see more early coverage of phones launching in China, subscribe. One of the things I like the most about the Honor GT is its form factor. Usually, I'm not a fan of boxy builds. This one though, it's quite compact and Honor's shown a lot of attention to detail. Like the edges, they aren't sharp and the corners have a large radius of curvature, so they don't stick into your palm when you're holding it. And when you are holding the GT, it's quite comfortable due to the fact that it's just 7.7 millimeters thick and weighs in at about 200 grams. So Honor's managed a flat back with a flat display that's still reasonably ergonomic. Nice. Now the back here is glass, which surprised me given the more expensive Honor 300 Pro had plastic. Here the glass back gets a frosted matte finish, so it's pretty fingerprint resistant, though the frame, it's still plastic. Now there is support for NFC, stereo speakers, and IR blaster to control appliances, and there is even an IP65 rating for protection against the elements. Now to the front, there's a 6.7-inch display and there's a hole punch right up top. Here we have a 16 megapixel camera. Now this one seems to do a reasonably good job with the selfies, the stills, whether it's the skin tones or the depth effect, the edge detection. Now video, it's capped to 1080-30, but at least it is stable without any jitter, so I'd call the footage usable. Now coming back to the display, like I said, 6.7 inches, AMOLED with a 1.5K resolution, so it's a sharp panel, pixel density of 435 ppi, the refresh rate is 120 Hz. There is no LTPO support though. From a brightness perspective, Honor's claim is 4000 nits, that's for HDR. In my testing, this panel output about 725 nits under manual mode and 1275 under auto, so it's bright enough for outdoor use. Under low light, there's 3840 Hz high frequency PWM dimming in case you're sensitive to OLED flicker. On top of that, Honor also offers a whole lot of options for eye protection. There's even one to help with motion sickness. Moving on, the fingerprint scanner under this display, it's optical and I feel it's placed a little too low. That said, given the compactness of this phone, for me, I didn't find the need to constantly readjust the phone in hand to scan my fingerprint. But I do have large hands, so your mileage may vary. Now under the hood, the Honor GT, it's powered by Qualcomm's flagship SoC from last year, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. This is paired with 12 or 16 gigs of LPDDR5X RAM and 256, 512 gigs or up to a terabyte of I wanted to say UFS 4.0 storage because that's what I saw mentioned in various articles. But as you guys know, I always do my research. I read the fine print, and that's where I noticed this. And I tested to make sure nothing was lost in translation. Sure enough, my 256 gigs was UFS 3.1. It's only the 1 TB version that's UFS 4. To be fair, this is not gonna affect the day-to-day. macOS 9 built atop Android 15 ran smooth, apps were quick to launch, and in my time so far, I'm yet to face any stutter or lag. But hiding this in the fine print, it did leave a sour taste in my mouth. Do you guys think Honor should be more transparent with what storage tech they've been using? Or do you think, no, they did not really push the UFS 4 narrative, so it's fine. They can just hide it in the fine print. Where do you stand with this? Let me know in the comments. Now, games ran fine. There was no heating issues whatsoever. The GT mode provides you your regular game-related options, including super resolution and frame generation. The stress test scores, they were average for an Gen 3, slightly lower than what we got with the Honor 300 Pro. But once again, Honor has done really well with the thermals. The Honor GT never went past 40 degrees, front or back. Now, before we jump to optics, a quick shout out to video sponsor Anbernic. Now, this is not a GBA. In fact, it's Anbernic's new RG34XX. It's got that GBA style look going for it. It's got a similar 3:2 aspect ratio display to allow for perfect scaling. I also love how they've color matched 2 of those buttons, so it looks like it's got that Game Boy Advance style 2-button layout, while still giving consumers that 4-button convenience for other systems. It's definitely nostalgia-inducing. And at $70, it's priced sensibly too. It's got the same internals as the other popular XX devices from Anbernic. It's good for up to Nintendo 64 emulation. Now, if you want to know more about the 34XX, check out the link in the description below. And with that, let's talk optics. Like other, I'm gonna call them tier 2 flagships. Given the 8 Elite exists, I can't call this a flagship, can I? But I sure as hell can't call a phone with an Gen 3 as a mid-ranger. So anyways, like other aggressively priced Gen 3s, Honor has also gone for a dual camera setup. It's basically the Honor 300 Pro setup minus the telephoto. So the primary is once again the 50 megapixel IMX906 paired with an optically stabilized f1.95 lens. Images turned out fine, well exposed with a lot of detail, maybe a slight boost in saturation. But Honor does provide 3 color profiles, natural, vibrant and authentic if you want to play around with that processing. Even under low light, this camera was quite competent and did a good job. The highlights were well controlled and images looked more or less natural. Video caps out at 4K 60 and the footage, I'd call it good. There was decent stabilization, which is getting rare these days. The secondary camera is a 12 megapixel ultra wide. It's nothing special, but given most of the competition are using 8 megapixel sensors with fixed focus, 12 megapixels here with autofocus feels like a step up. So yeah, you can shoot these kind of macro shots. Now, just like on the 300 Pro, you get a bunch of AI related features like AI eraser to remove things from an image after it's been shot, AI outpainting to generate and add to an image that you've already shot, which works just as well here too. And then there's AI styles, which lets you animate yourself if that's something you'd want to do. Now guys, while all that's nice, the absolute highlight of the Honor GT has got to be its asking price. Honor's priced this at 2199 RMB in China, which converts to about 25,500 rupees Indian or $300 US. Now we've seen a bunch of, like I said, tier 2 flagships launch at close to this price, but I feel Honor's GT is by far the strongest offering so far. It doesn't have, say, the Neo 7's throttling or Redmi CIS jitter. It's got a better ultra-wide than the iQOO whilst also being cheaper. But then again, do keep in mind that the Honor GT does have the lowest battery capacity of all these launches. Regardless, this phone does feel like a very strong offering at this price point, and I really do wish it sees the light of day outside of China. If and when it does, would you be interested in buying this? If yes, what do you think would be a fair price tag? Let me know in the comments, and I guess that's it. Thanks for watching. Ash out.